to my channel. As I mentioned in my previous video, today we will be creating a more professional looking study area map that you can use in your article or thesis. We will be giving 3D-like look to our map using digital elevation model. We will also show dominant land cover using ESA land cover map, and we will be using OpenStreetMap as our base layer. So let's start. For this project, I am taking Berlin as my study area. I have already imported DEM and land cover map of Berlin. The DEM is from NASA DEM, whereas land cover is from ESA. In QGIS, no data value often appears as black background. As you can see here, you can either set transparency to 100 using this icon or put 0 as additional no data value. Here, your background is now white. Land cover map uses an 8-bit range where each pixel value can theoretically range from 0 to 255. However, only specific values are defined to represent land cover types. To detect all unique values in this dataset, let's classify. 0 is the one with no data, so let's remove it from our dataset. To find which value represents which class, you can refer to ESA website, link in my description. Now, to create a 3D-like effect on the map, we will use Hillshade function that simulates shadows and sunlight across a surface. You can find processing toolbox on the right hand side. If you don't find it here, on the top you can find processing option, and then make sure toolbox is clicked. You can search Hillshade here, that is under raster terrain analysis. The DEM is your elevation layer, and then save it to the file as Hillshade. After saving your file, you can click on the run. Here, now your Hillshade is created. This is Hillshade. The coarse texture here represents the elevation difference between objects in a map. Now, let's change the appearance of Hillshade so that our land cover map is visible under the Hillshade. The color of the Hillshade remains single band gray. We will change the transparency here by decreasing the value of global opacity. We are making Hillshade a little transparent so that our land cover is visible and a 3D-like look appears in our land cover map. When you zoom into the map, you can find a coarse texture in the land cover map signifying an elevation difference. Here, you can clearly see the difference between the map without Hillshade and with Hillshade. Here, the river appears lower than the forest area, signifying the elevation difference. For creating Hillshade, the work of DEM is done, so I will remove it from my layer here. Now, let's add base layers. We will use OpenStreetMap as our base layer. For that, make sure you have Quick Map Services plugin ticked here. In the plugins, you can go search in the list of your plugins. These are installed. Make sure this is ticked so that when you go to the web, you can find Quick Map Services option, and here you can find OpenStreetMap standard we are using as base layer here. The OpenStreetMap is free collaborative map of the world that gives us detailed street and land features. We will create a new printout so that we can export our map in PNG format after adding important features like north arrow, scale, legend, and grids. In my previous video, you have seen how we can add our map to this print layout. You can do the same, and this is how it appears with base layer. This is just an example to show how you can add different raster layers and give 3D look and then add base layers. You can choose any kind of raster layer you want. Now we will add a scale bar to our map. In the item properties, you can opt for different options you can do with the scale bar. For now, I would want to add one segment in the left and also change the style of scale bar to make it line with ticks in the middle. You can definitely choose whichever type you want in your map. Now let's add legend to our map. In this map, I only want the legend to include the classes that are land cover classes. So I tick off the auto update option and then remove all the legends except for the land cover classes, because in my map that's what I want to highlight. When auto update is off, you can rename the item in your legend. Here I want to give the title land cover classes and also rename these numbers to the respective features, because I have been working with ESA datasets for quite often. So now I remember which feature represents which value. If you don't remember which feature represents which value, you can always go to the ESA website. I have also provided the link for the website in my description below. You can also rename these values in the layer itself, but I am doing it in the legend here. It's your choice if you want to rename it in the layer, in the QGIS canvas, or in the legend. In my previous video, we have talked about different options you can do with legend. You are always free to experiment and give new look to your map. If you want, you can give a title to your legend. For now, I don't want to give title to my legend here. I want to remove the white background in my legend, so I am unchecking the box with background here so that my legend has no background. It's optional and you can do whatever you want. As I keep on saying, this is completely your choice. If you feel your legend is not visible without background, or it was looking nice with white background, you can always tick the background. Here I want to increase the font of my item labels so that they are little larger in size. I also want to increase the font of land cover classes that falls in the subgroup here. And always check with different options until you are satisfied with the look of your map. Now I am adding north arrow to my map, which is a very important feature in all the maps that shows the direction. We have talked about it in my previous video. You can choose for different options of north arrow. Here I am choosing the one. Adding a text box here, you can give a title to the map. Here I want to give title land cover map of Berlin. Here you can increase the font of your title and also change the color. I am keeping the default black, whereas you can opt for any color and any size of font. I want to show the location of Berlin in Germany. So first I will log the layer for this map. Here I already have vector data of Germany and Berlin, which I want to show in the map. I want to show how you can show your map in different shapes. Here I will add an ellipse from Add Shapes option. I want to show the map of Germany and Berlin here inside the circle, and that's what I am doing. Once you add an ellipse, you can add map in this ellipse. Here it appears rectangular. Now we will clip it using clipping. Here the icon. In the clipping settings, you can opt for clip to items here. When enabled, you can choose the shape. Here we choose ellipse, and this is how it looks like. Keep in mind the clipping works only for vector data. Here I had Germany and Berlin as shape file. That's why I could clip it to the extent of ellipse. Now we will add grid to our map. Here, by adding grid and modifying it, we can choose whichever grid type we want. I'm using solid grid type for this map. In the interval, you can choose how often you want your grid to appear. I am choosing normal blend mode and line border as my frame style. When you scroll further down, you can tick the draw coordinates option. I am reducing the interval because Berlin being a small city, the change in the coordinates is very small. So if I keep the interval large, then only few coordinates appear in my map. So keep in mind, when you are working with larger city, you can keep the interval large, whereas while working with a small city, you can keep interval short. I want grids to be little thinner, so I am decreasing the stroke width here. I think grids could appear more near to each other, so I am reducing the interval here again. So I want grids to appear more frequently, so I am reducing the interval. You can always choose what type of grid you want. If you don't want the solid grid, you can always choose frames only. I want to change the format and precision of coordinate. Here I will keep the precision 1 and also change the format from decimal to degree, minute and suffix. Here in the left and right hand side I want to make the coordinates vertical. Here I choose vertical ascending by going to left and right option. Now, this looks a little more professional because before the horizontal coordinate was going outside the map frame. Now, I want to show that the pollen here is the one in my map. Leave it like this, and I think many will understand that this pollen is the one you are highlighting. But because pollen appears very small in this map, I choose to add an arrow so that I can show like this is the land cover map of Berlin and this is where it is located in Germany. For arrow, I want to keep it a little thin so that it appears less black and is not really highlighted in my map. Check for all the features you want in your map, and once you are happy with the layout, you can choose to save your map in different formats. Here I choose PNG format and now save my file. This is how it looks like in PNG format. Thank you for watching. I hope now you have a map for your article or thesis. In my next video, we will be getting familiar to Google Earth Engine, where we will be working with both image and image collection, visualizing our data in map and exporting map in TIFF format to our drive. So don't forget to subscribe and leave comment in the comment section.